Assassin's Creed Odyssey, developed by like 50 studios in Ubisoft, mainly Ubisoft Quebec, published by Ubisoft and directed by Jonathan Dumont and Scott Phillips. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a continuation of Assassin's Creed Origins, change into a kind of action role-playing game as opposed to whatever you want to call the original Assassin's Creeds, I don't know. Kind of taking a sort of Zelda approach to the game rather than a mission-structured one, I guess. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is set during the Peloponnesian War of ancient Greece, so this is sometime after the Persian invasion and sometime before Alexander the Great, so somewhere in between. Somewhere in between that massive amount of time, I guess. Closer to the Persian invasion, let's put it that way. You play, you can choose two protagonists to play, a male, female. You can play as Alexios or Cassandra, who are mercenaries and descendants of Leonidas of Sparta. Weapon you have in the game is Leonidas' broken spear, so that kind of takes the place of the hidden blade. This might be, yes, this is the first Assassin's Creed that doesn't have the hidden blade, actually. So we're going back very far. This is also set before Assassin's Creed Origins, before the Origins even. It's very, very old. So the game is called Odyssey because, you know, Odysseus and the Iliad and so on. Read a book. I was kind of worried that Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or just Odyssey, I'm just going to call it that, you know, because Ubisoft were kind of going back to their yearly sequels again. You know, we had hoped they had taken a break with that with Origins, because they did take a break for Origins. We were sort of hoping they would have taken a break for Odyssey as well, but they didn't. They plowed ahead. So I was a little worried that this would be a bit shaky. And it's not. It's really good. Now, this is a massive game with a huge map, with lots of content in it, a very humorous story, great side quests for the most part. Some of them aren't so good, but the vast majority of them are very good. The main plot itself, depending on which character you pick, the story, I believe, is the same. I only played it with one character. The game is too long. I can't play it with both characters. You have essentially grown up outside of the war on this just island off to the side of the map, and story things happen and you need to engage in the war to try and find your family and see what's up with them, because people are trying to kill them. The cult, who I guess are old-timey Templars, very, very old-timey Templars maybe. So if you have played Origins, or if you want to just go back and watch my video on Origins, Odyssey plays very, very similar. It's very much an evolution of that system already. They've changed a good few things in the combat, so some problems I had with Origins combat was that a couple of moves more or less dominated the game. Your charge attack was very easy to just spam and win close-up combat, and even before you got into range, your bow was so powerful that it tended to just moot any combat that you needed to do. And an additional problem I had was that assassinations were just damage rather than one-shot kills, which you kind of would expect if you jam a knife in someone's throat that they would die immediately, but no, apparently not. So they've changed and fixed up a lot of those problems that I had with it. The charge attack is nowhere near as overwhelming as it was in Origins. This is mostly because enemies are a lot more aggressive. An issue I had with Bayek in Origins was that he didn't move very fast, or he wasn't very responsive. And Alexios or Cassandra are very quick to move and dodge and parry, so it's very nice. It's actually a lot of fun to fight with them. The bow is nerfed massively. It's actually super unuseful now, so I kind of feel they've gone in the opposite direction on that. The bow to me feels like a kind of waste of time. It's really not that useful at all. And they've added an extra ability in the assassination tree if you like to do critical assassinations. I don't know how you can critically stab somebody in the face, but okay. Which just, you know, massively boosts the damage on your assassinations to almost make them one-hit kills. But you need certain criteria to make it happen. You know, it's a hold rather than a tap, so you need to be in a position where you could just kind of stand there and do it. Good trade-offs, I feel. So some additions to Odyssey over Origins. So the boat, the ship is back from Black Flag. It's been resurrected. Origins, you know, it was a landlocked game. Set in ancient Egypt, you didn't exactly have too many options or too many reasons to be in a ship. But Greece is made up of a lot of different islands and peninsulas and stuff, so you do need to be in a boat a lot. So boat combat is back to ship combat if you like. Even Athens and Sparta, the Peloponnesian War, tripping over my tongue here. The reason Athens won was because of their Navy. So there's a lot of ship combat in there, and it's just as good as it was in Black Flag, honestly. Obviously there's no cannons yet, that kind of thing, so combat is a lot more close up. Another thing they've added is a kind of system, so it's very similar to actually a system that was in Origins, in that you had another cult, they love their cults, that you had to hunt down, but it was integrated into the story, so you were going to fight them all no matter what anyway. Whereas in Odyssey, they still have the same system, a kind of tree of cult members that you need to find, but only some of them you'll encounter during the story, others are encountered during side quests, and others you just have to go off and find them yourself. Which brings it to another thing that they've added. So there's 2 different modes you can play Odyssey in. You can play it as guided mode or exploration mode. Guided mode is no change. It plays the same way as Origins. You get waypoints. When you get quests, they just tell you exactly where to go. Just follow it. Just do what the game tells you to do, and do it as best you can. Exploration mode is more like, we're going to tell you generally where it is, where you need to go. We're not going to give you a waypoint, we're just going to describe where you need to go and go find it, which is cool. I really like that idea, except I don't feel they went far enough. The directions they give you are way too good because it's way too easy to find it. And once you're within a decent enough range, your eagle can just spot the area anyway and then just give you a waypoint. So I kind of feel like all they did was take the step of putting the waypoint on the map away from you, and that was it. I do feel like if they want to go down that route, and I really hope they do because it's a cool idea, they might need the player to actually talk to NPCs to get information, or make the directions a bit more vague, or maybe just take the map away and just give like compass directions, or maybe some way of telling what area you're in the game, like a map marker in the game, or like a direction thing, or you could talk to an NPC on the street and say, where the fuck am I? And they'll tell you, and you say, where's this thing? And they'll go, oh, go north like 300 meters or something. I feel like that's as far as they need to go to make that as useful as you'd want it to be, or to make it as fun. Cartography is fun, kids. Anyway, Odyssey, I feel, has a really good story. I really enjoyed playing it. I enjoyed playing it a lot more than Origins, and I actually quite enjoyed Origins. Definitely adding the ship combat is good. The changes they've made to combat actually makes combat fun. And they've more or less tarred over the problems I had with Origins combat. One thing I would like them to focus on now, focus on that exploration mode because I do like it, but also fix the engine, because there are a lot of bugs. None of them are game breaking. None of them were problems like that. They're just kind of funny, weird quirks that you'd see in like a bug compilation thing. Characters T-posing, or wolves and bears wandering into cutscenes, things like that. They're a little annoying, they're a little jarring. Just fix that up. Fix up your AI. Maybe tone down the number of animals you have in the game, because they do just wander into towns and mess around with NPCs, and it just kind of slows down the game a bit too much. But these are kind of small, nitpicky things. The cult system to go off and find cultists kind of falls under the same problem with exploration mode, is you need to find clues to find them, but the clues more or less just tell you where they are rather than giving you guidance towards them. But anyway, there's a lot of other extra things that Odyssey added, and I could sit here and talk to you about it for forever. There's a lot of stuff they've pulled from, like the Nemesis system from the Mordor games. The loot system as well that they've bulked up a good bit. They've got the in-game store, the microtransactions. I could talk about how bad they are. They don't invade the game so much, but they do block the really fun stuff like unicorns and flaming horses and things like that. That's all hidden behind the store. You can get it in-game, but the way to get it is just bullshit. But anyway, good game. Give it a shot. There are, of course, massive games already out with Red Dead and Spider-Man and Kingdom Hearts and God of War. But if you have extra time for Odyssey, do make the time, because I do feel it's very good.
Why try to step back in time to when our lives felt most simple? when each day.
This is The Missing, J.J. Macfield and the Island of Memories, developed by White Owls Inc., published by Arc System Works, and directed by Swery. I'm only just going to call the game The Missing, I'm not saying the whole title, it takes forever. Is a single-player puzzle platformer side-scroller type deal. If you've played something like Limbo or something like Inside, it's kind of like that. You play J.J. Macfield on the Island of Memories. You are searching for your love interest, Emily, who's gone missing during a camping trip. And during the course of your adventures, you are struck by lightning and resurrected by this weird deer doctor. And I do mean deer with 2 E's. Or maybe he's a goat, I don't know. Anyway, he resurrects you and now you can't die, but you can still be horribly mutilated. And that's the crux of the puzzle solving. So basically you'll encounter some puzzles that might require you to be smaller than you currently are. So you'll need to cut off your legs or something so you can fit through the gap. And then you can conveniently regrow them. Or you might need to throw something at a box and you don't have anything to hand except your hand. And you can throw your hand at the box and that'll do the job. So there's a lot of that, just trying to figure out ways to get through the puzzles by mutilating yourself in various ways, or setting yourself on fire so you can carry fire to something that's flammable, and so on. It's a bit grisly, and the accompanying sound effects and animations don't really help, particularly when JJ has a broken leg or something, and she's just hobbling. It has this horrible kind of noise. It's fun though. So the game is kind of billed as this kind of coming of age drama for an LGBT couple, and then kind of a sort of blatant, not subtle commentary on the main character's self-harm. You know, this mutilation kind of thing is a massively exaggerated version of the self-harm. During the course of the game, you will kind of receive text messages and things that flesh out the backstory, you know, kind of let you know why your characters are kind of fucked up. I haven't finished this. I'm about, I'd say, like 30% of the way through the game. But again, game time this month was very much dominated by Assassin's Creed, so hopefully I will get more time to give this game more of my time. If you like it, you can check it out. It is on pretty much everything. It's on Windows PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. If you like Swery's kind of weird Twin Peaks knockoffs, or rip-offs maybe, give it a look, because it's kind of more of the same.
JJ! Hey, this way.
This is Tetris Effect, developed by Monsters Inc. and Resonair, published by Enhance Inc. and directed by Takashi Ishihara. Tetris Effect is a very simple game. It's Tetris, set to music with nice bright particle effects. That's it. Okay, see you in the next game. Okay, so technically Tetris Effect comes out in November and this is the Games of October video, but there was a demo for it that came out in October, so I'm using it for that and don't give me any shit. In Tetris Effect, you are playing Tetris, as you might imagine, set to a beat or set to some music, and the music more or less dictates the speed at which the tetraminos come down to some extent. Every action that you take in the game kind of adds to the beat, so every time you rotate a piece or you move it over left and right, up and down, or not up, down, and so on, it kind of adds a bit to the music, adds a bit to the flow. The idea is to try to get you into the zone of playing Tetris, giving you different beats, different music to play it against, different particle effects. There is a journey mode, which is, if you like, a story mode for Tetris, but all it really is it just takes you through all the tracks in a kind of Guitar Hero style thing, and you just have to complete Tetris. X number of lines without dying, and so on. There is an additional kind of endless mode, or I can't remember what they actually use I can't remember the term they used, what they call it, but it's kind of like a leaderboard kind of thing. You can play classic Tetris, which is, your basic Tetris. You can play endless Tetris, where you can't die, it just resets the game. You can play like a time attack thing. You can play this version that was in the demo, which is this, we're just going to do random shit to you while you're playing Tetris and just deal with it. Which was pretty fun, particularly when they reversed the controls and, left is right and right is left. And then they reverted back to normal, but you still think right is left and left is right, so you keep messing yourself up. It's a lot of fun. What I would say is it's on PS4, but it is also compatible with PSVR, and if you do have the option to play it in VR, you should. If you've played any VR titles like Thumper or like Res Infinite, it gives you the same kind of just total immersion in like this colorscape with the music, the beat. You really do just zone into just playing the game. It really does feel great. Playing it just on the TV, not so much, I feel. It really just comes across as the same kind of rhythm game, but Tetris. And it doesn't really have the tactile kind of twitchiness of some of these kind of rhythm games. Oh, I don't know how you'd feel if you don't have a VR headset to go with it, and you might not want to give it a try. I think the demo was also time-based, so it's probably no longer available, but the game was not a full-price game. I believe it was €40. Might have been less. Again, if you have VR, give it a shot. If you don't, it's up to you. It depends on how much you like Tetris, I guess. Red Dead Redemption 2, developed by Rockstar, published by Rockstar, and produced by Rob Nelson. No director's credit, or at least I couldn't find one for the game, so we'll go with the producer. Judging by the sales figures for RDR2, this game probably doesn't need much introduction, but I'll go ahead. RDR2 is a prequel to RDR1. It is a cowboy open world type game set during the turn of the 20th century America, right at the tail end of the Wild West, the wiki Wild Wild West. You take on the role of Arthur Morgan, a member of the Dutch Vanderland gang, who were the villains of the original Red Dead Redemption. So I haven't played a lot of it. I've been mostly focused on a different game, which I may or may not have talked about, I don't know. Depends where this appears in the video. So I'm just going to point out a couple of observations I had about the game. I'll start with the good stuff. The game is insanely detailed. There's so much effort put into this game, so much work put in. You can clearly see that they are very much trying to just up the game for detail, for immersion, for like just technical masterpiece. It's just fantastic attention to details, to small things, to Arthur putting his hand in the pockets for looting people or for turning them over. Like the single action revolver gun, you have to cock the gun first to fire it before it will actually fire. There's just extra little details that you don't really expect, but it's cool that they're in there. And now I will get on to kind of the stuff that's been annoying me about the game. Now again, I say I'm not very far into it, but that attention to detail, I do feel kind of comes at the cost of the game being fun. There's a kind of a fine line to go with making something a simulation to try to make it insanely detailed, and then realizing that the real world isn't fun. There's a reason you're playing video games. The extra effort to loot enemies just takes so long in the game. It's very impressive from a technical standpoint that the models can interact in that way. But my god, it takes forever. If you've got 20 bodies to loot or something, it's going to take so long to do it. Introducing survival elements. Sure, everybody needs to eat, everybody needs to sleep, everybody needs to keep themselves clean, and so on. But putting it in a video game, it's just extra busy work that's probably not necessary. A particularly galling one is horse whistling, or trying to bring your horse to you. That you have to be in range, obviously, because the horse has to hear you. Sound has to propagate into the horse's ears for them to register it, and that's realistic. But when a mission leaves you 4 or 5 miles away from your horse, and you can't whistle because you're not in range, and you have to walk your ass all the way back, that's extra time. taken away from me that I could be doing something else in the game. You know, there is a trade-off between the two. Now, I could just be being salty because I'm coming from Assassin's Creed Origins, or not Origins, Odyssey and Spider-Man, which are, you know, very much kind of hand-holding for the player. You know, there's a lot of ease of use. There's a lot of, you know, quick use actions. You know, you just press a button and you loot somebody in Assassin's Creed. You don't even have to break your stride. I may just be going from one extreme to the other, and that's just what's annoying me. Who knows? I will have more time to play Red Dead Redemption 2. As some of you might know, on the channel there is a full LP of the original Red Dead Redemption, and I am planning to give the same treatment to Red Dead Redemption 2. Hopefully it won't be as big a slog as it seems to be right now, though.
Look at what we snagged! Dutchie's dog's body! I told you he'd show!
Those were some of the games I played for October 2018. Assassin's Creed Odyssey taking up the bulk of the time. I spent a lot of time with that game. Time well spent, I felt. It was very, very good. I really, really enjoyed it. Tetris Effect is good for a bit of a cool down, a bit of a chill out session, and if you have your VR headset already set up, it's great. Just jump straight into it. The Missing, I just haven't played enough of it. I've heard some good things, so I'm really looking forward to getting more time with it. And Red Dead Redemption is on the same path. I haven't spent enough time with it, but I've heard really good things. But my time spent with it has been equal parts impressed and infuriated. So we'll see how it goes from there. Coming up next month in November, we will be looking at Darksiders 3, continuation of the long in hiatus. Hiatus? I don't know. Darksiders series. Also be looking at Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I got the Eevee version, so we'll be looking at that one. And then 2 VR titles, Deracine by From Software. So the guys who made Dark Souls and Bloodborne have made a weird VR title that doesn't look anything like either. That should be interesting. And also looking at Beat Saber in VR, which is a kind of lightsaber rhythm game. So I don't know. That should be fun though. Let me know what you thought about this month's video, or this month's games even, and next month and so on, and you know, all the social shit that you're supposed to say at the end of your video. Anyway, thanks for watching.